Netanyahu as the war in Gaza continues.
Hugo Bachega there. Meanwhile, the Israeli offensive has continued in Gaza, with residents reporting fighting in northern, central and southern parts of the territory. These images are from Rafah in the south of the Gaza Strip. It's a politically sensitive area because it borders Egypt. The crossing there also allows for limited evacuations to Egypt and for limited aid to enter the Strip. Well, to discuss this in more detail, we can go live to Amman in Jordan, where I'm joined by Juliette Touma, who's the Director of Communications at UNRWA. Thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News. Obviously, the work that you do at your UN agency gets aid to those who need it desperately. Just bring us up to date with what your colleagues are telling you on the ground.
Yes, thank you. Well, today we mark the fourth cut in telecommunications across the Gaza Strip, and one of the longest. It started on the Thursday night, and so almost 48 hours ago, and it continues largely across the Gaza Strip, which makes the communication between us and the teams on the ground in Gaza extremely difficult. And it makes the delivery of aid, which is now pretty much limited to the south, far, far more challenging.
When you talk about the delivery of aid, how are you able to distribute what little is getting in? Are you having cooperation with local forces on the ground to get the aid to where it is?
Our teams are on the ground. UNRWA is the largest UN agency in the Gaza Strip, and we deliver assistance directly to people in need, mainly in our shelters, where we are hosting more than 1.3 million people in mostly what has been UNRWA schools.
And let's talk about the situation in the hospitals. A couple of days ago, I was speaking to another agency working in Gaza who talked about fewer than 12 hospitals functioning, and that too only partially functioning. What is the latest you can tell us on that?
Yes, according to the UN estimates, only 1/3 of hospitals are functioning in the Gaza Strip, mostly in the south, where the vast majority of the population has, in fact, been forced to flee to. And there is very little medical supplies and medicine, and there's also not as enough medical personnel.
And in terms of the aid that you have, I mean, how much have you received in the last few days over the Rafah crossing?
Look, on average, it's like 100 trucks or a little bit more every single day, which is by far not enough. This is exactly why we are looking forward to the opening of the crossing between Israel and Gaza, which is called Kerem Shalom. If that opens and then we see a direct delivery of 8 trucks into the Gaza Strip, then that is welcome. You see, that crossing point used to process every single day before the war 500 trucks, including for the commercial sector, which is currently non-existent in Gaza. So in addition to humanitarian supplies, what is needed for Gaza at the moment is also a boost of commercial and private sector supplies.
You talk about that crossing or that avenue being potentially a lifeline. What indications are you getting that that could be open for aid again?
We've been calling for that crossing to open for 70 days now. You see, it has been closed since the war began, with significant impact on people as the siege got tighter and tighter. When I was in Gaza just a couple of weeks ago, every single shop that we passed through was closed. There is no market in Gaza. So even those who have some cash left cannot do anything with it. So it's really, really critical that that crossing point does open. And what's really important is that aid goes from that crossing point directly to Gaza and not get rerouted or diverted via the crossing point with Egypt.
And just before we let you go, Juliette, what about the situation in the north? Because by all accounts, we were hearing that the worst impact so far has been there, and that's where aid has been difficult to reach, or it's been harder to reach the north because obviously it's further from the Rafah crossing.
Extremely difficult to reach the north. In fact, we were only able to deliver assistance to the north very scarcely. Primarily during that short-lived pause that we had a couple of weeks ago. And there are heavy bombardments taking place, including just recently, I'm sure you've seen a video of an UNRWA school that got blown up completely. So no place is safe, not in the north, not in the middle, and not in the south of the Gaza Strip.
OK, Juliette Touma from UNRWA, which of course is the UN agency for Palestinian refugees. Thank you very much for joining us and bringing us up to date on the situation there. The UK Defence Secretary